Hello and welcome to the Martini Shot, home of movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails. My name is Brandon. Before we get into the review of Love Lies Bleeding, let's build some muscle and degrade some brain cells with an after-workout cocktail I've named the Protein Punch. So, you want to build muscles but don't want to shove a needle in your ass to get results? Well, let me tell you something, brother. There's no better way to get shredded than with some good old-fashioned protein. That's where the Protein Punch comes in. This is a super simple cocktail to make and will give your body the protein it needs to become a genetic freak. This drink is made with rum, a little bit of sugar, protein shake, and the breakfast of champions, one whole egg. Now you might be saying, Brandon, you dumb bastard, you're only supposed to use the egg white in a cocktail, not the whole egg. Well, there's plenty of cocktails out there that use whole eggs, like eggnog, and the cocktail that this is a riff on, the flip cocktail. So run to your hen house and grab the freshest egg you can find. Let's get into it. All right, this is gonna be a shaken cocktail, so go ahead and grab a shaker. This is a very simple cocktail, so we're gonna move a little quick. We're first gonna be starting with some granulated sugar, and you're gonna be adding about a teaspoon. Next up is a protein shake of your choice. You're more than welcome to experiment with different flavors, but since I'm gonna be using rum, I went ahead and went with a strawberry banana flavored protein shake. And with that, you're gonna be adding half an ounce. And then finally for our rum, you're gonna want something a little bit more on the darker side. I'm gonna be using plantation, and you're gonna be adding 1.5 ounces. And now finally you are going to be adding one whole egg. And since you're going to be using raw egg, please exercise caution. Use the freshest eggs you can come by. You don't want to get salmonella from this cocktail, trust me. But now that you have everything in the shaker, you are going to be treating it like how we would usually treat an egg white by first dry shaking it. That's going to allow it to emulsify and thicken. So with that, I shake thoroughly for about 15 to 20 seconds. And once you're done with that, throw some ice in that shaker and shake to chill. Now you can go ahead and strain or double strain that into a chilled coupe glass. And to top it off, give it a little dusting of nutmeg. And there you go, now you have the Protein Punch. If you're a fan of eggnog or just particularly creamy cocktails in general, I think you're really gonna like this. It lends itself to some customization when it comes to the protein shake you decide to use, but for this particular blend, I think the strawberry and banana work so well alongside the rum, obviously. It's definitely alcohol forward and it's not too heavy, not as much as if we were using heavy cream or something like that. And if you're wondering, no, it doesn't taste like an egg despite everything. It basically just creates this nice, rich, thick body for the cocktail to dwell in. It's slightly sweet with a little bit of a hint of chocolate in there. And of course that nutmeg on top works super well, adding a bit more to that rich taste and also adding a nice little aromatic element. It's certainly one way to get your protein. I could honestly see this being a very good breakfast cocktail to have with brunch. So if you're curious about using eggs in cocktails, definitely give it a try. I think there's a lot of good that can come from it. But like I said before, please exercise caution and make sure you're only using the freshest ingredients. Now that we have our drink, let's get right into the review of Love Lies Bleeding. 2024 has been a pretty good year for the be gay, do crimes genre. We already had Drive Away Dolls, and now we have Love Lies Bleeding from a director with one of the best names in the biz, Rose Glass. In 2019, Glass debuted with Saint Maud, a horror film about misplaced religious fanaticism that I happen to really enjoy. With this new film, Glass has sought to go bigger and badder this time around with a much bigger budget, a cast of recognizable names, and ample amounts of eroticism. Love Lies Bleeding is a grimy, sexy crime thriller set in the middle of nowhere following the budding romance between an aspiring bodybuilder and a reclusive gym worker who comes from a nasty crime family. As the two girls draw closer, obsession, lust, and revenge begin to cloud their relationship, which leads to blood spewing and teeth flying. This is a phenomenal follow-up for Rose Glass, who succeeds at capturing the dirty, sweaty world of the film while crafting an incendiary narrative ready to explode at a moment's notice. The chemistry between leads Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien is electric and volatile, while the supporting cast includes great character work of lowlives and psychos. It's bloody, it's horny, it's brimming with pulp, and it makes some bold storytelling choices that may drive a few people away, but I personally loved it. The relationship between Stewart's Lou and O'Brien's Jackie is like gas to a fire. Both are easily easily drawn together, but the results are explosive. Yet their developing romance feels genuine, both in their affections towards one another and the spontaneous nature of their union. I'd probably be chomping at the bit too if I lived out in the middle of the desert. There's enough room for speculation in their relationship, wondering if they really love one another or just see the other as a means to an end. But you never deny the palpable attraction towards one another, and both women do a tremendous job at keeping it feeling authentic. This is a role certainly up Stewart's alley, as we've come to learn. Rugged, antisocial, and looking like she hasn't slept in days. Then there's O'Brien, who I found to be absolutely magnetic. While the finer details of her backstory and motivations aren't completely elaborated on, her physical performance is quite interesting. Her obsession with bodybuilding, no doubt stemmed from a desire to have the power to always have control of her life, gradually becomes more obsessive and pathological. Her transformation has her continue to push her limits to astonishing levels, and O'Brien shows she's more than capable of achieving that. There's even a bit of body horror to this, watching her muscles continue to swell and her veins crawl through her skin like worms. It's a great representation of a volatile mindset that isn't afraid to get a bit more creative with its presentation. In the supporting performances, we have Ed Harris as Lou's criminal father, Lou Sr., a man whose terrifying actions are only outweighed by his more terrifying haircut. Harris is great at being intimidating as well as off-putting. Other standouts include Dave Franco as abusive scumbag JJ, and Anna Baryshnikov as obsessive lover Daisy. Everyone here is weird in their own way, encompassing an offbeat community that may only be possible thanks to the dusty and barren locale of the desert. This type of nowhere way of life is presented in a gritty, scummy way set in the 90s during the height of Dare's war on drugs. The setting is surrounded by vices along with disembodied voices warning you of said vices, but the funny thing is that there's way bigger things to worry about here than the odd cigarette. The film gets quite brutal at times, heightened by the bleak and dirty environment surrounding it. I mentioned the elements of body horror here, and that goes beyond just building muscle. There are some grisly images you'll be subjected to, which are made all the more disgusting by stellar practical effects. These moments are shocking, no doubt, but the sicko in me does wish the film would have continued to push the envelope and take it further, because truthfully, it feels like the film may have overplayed its hand early on. Yet the film still remains excruciatingly tense throughout as graves continue to be dug deeper and lifelines come and go in seconds. Sometimes the trail gets a bit murky as character decisions occasionally don't make the most sense in order to get from one point to another, but really it isn't that egregious. Not only will you find yourself biting your nails from stress, but you may find yourself biting your lip a bit, because honestly, this film is pretty hot. And I don't really mean that in an exploitative, male-gazing kind of way, but as a compliment to the film's authenticity when it comes to the more intimate and sometimes graphic moments. Sex sells, but there's way more you can accomplish with it than just being something to ogle at, which I think the film succeeds at. There's genuine romantic tension to this erotic thriller as you find yourself guessing if the two leads can possibly make it work with everything working against them, as well as their own emotional hang-ups. It also feels fairly real and pairs great alongside the neo-noir elements of the film. It's got it all: corpses at the bottom of a ditch, CIA snooping around murders right under their nose, and an endless supply of rugs to roll dead bodies in. It's pulp cinema with its own dirty approach, and I love it. A fun element that now seems pretty consistent with Glass's filmography is the way she plays with perspective and point of view, leaving you questioning the reality of what you just saw unfold. This was present in Saint Maud with a continuous descent into religious madness, and you can find similar tricks here with Jackie trying to become the biggest she can be, which leads to the ending, the culmination of her journey in a way. It's a big swing that may be too big for some people, taking them out of the fairly grounded world the rest of the film took place in. However, I got a kick out of it and what it represents, manifesting Jackie's growth and protection of Lou in a pretty fun way. Like I said, it might get too out there for some, but take it with an open mind at least. This was one of my most anticipated films of the year, and it certainly didn't disappoint. Love Lies Bleeding is a phenomenal progression for Rose Glass as a director, continuing her streak of effed up self-discovery, kind of in a similar vein as Cronenberg. The cast is rock solid, the technicals are both grimy yet stylish, and the story is just one bad decision after another in the best ways possible. March really is kicking off the return of good films to theaters, and I highly recommend you check this out. Just for the benefit of everyone else, please keep it in your pants. For my rating, I'm giving this film 4 rhinoceros beetles out of 5. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Martini Shot. If you saw Love Lies Bleeding, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And if you like what you saw here and would like to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me across all social media channels. Those links are down in the description below. And if you enjoy movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to check out my website, martinishot.blog. Until next time, thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Live deliciously, but please remember to drink responsibly.